start the meeting at 7:02 p.m. And we have a laryngitis victim over here, so Mark will take the roll call for us tonight.
Certainly. Denman, I know that Caleb is not going to be here tonight.
Eric's not gonna be here.
And Erica is not going to be, so. King,
Here.
Lawrence,
Here.
Gary Mathers,
Here.
Myra Mathers,
Here.
Piper.
Okay, we do still have a quorum. Now, please stand and join me for the pledge of allegiance to our flag.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item number 2 is approval of tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion by trustee Piper, supported by trustee King to approve the agenda as presented. Any questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. That motion carries. Now we go to page 3 and 4, the regular meeting minutes of 5/5.
I'll make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes from 5/5/2025. Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Piper, supported by trustee M. Mathers to accept regular meeting minutes of 5/5 as presented. Comments, discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed say no. That motion carries. Okay, payment of the bills. Grand total of the bills is, well, they do have a little change in the bills, if I can find them. On page 17, we start with $270,934. And there's one voided check of $36. I did not go back and look to see which one it was, but one voided of $36. And one reimbursement from Parks and Rec of $120. So if we deduct those two, the bills become, net bills become $270,744.34. 270,744.34. And that's it. Are there any questions?
How much was that voided check?
Actually,
$36.
36.
It was the very first one listed, the very first page.
Okay.
Yeah, self-insurance. Page 8,
There we go.
$36, about the third category.
On Aflac? Yes. I have a question on page 10 on Citco Water for $9,100 for odor control.
For the pipeline, it's the bioxide.
I'm sorry, what?
It's the bioxide they put in the pipeline and it's their treatment plant to keep the water down.
Is that a new company that we're using?
Yeah, they got sold. It used to be,
Alexander?
no, that's water chemicals. I can't tell you right now, but they got bought out. All it, yes.
Okay. I think the only other one I had was Higher Technologies for $16,000, it says annual fees on page 15.
That's support police vest got altered.
Why does it say utility there?
That's the name of the company.
That's the name of, oh. That's all I have. No, one more. 16, Virtual Academy, $675. It says virtual training. Is that police or
Yes,
police training?
Yep.
Is that for one person or you guys?
no, I think
That's
they
the whole
were,
department.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. That's all I have. I'll make a motion that we pay the bills in $270,744.84.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Piper, supported by trustee Ann Matters, pay the bills in the amount of $270,744.34. Any more discussion, comments on the bills? Okay, Mr. Manager, will you call roll for us, please?
I'm not gonna skip the people who aren't here, but, Steers, King,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Gary Mathers,
Yes.
Myra Mathers,
Yes.
Piper,
Yes.
Denman.
Okay, that motion carries 5-2. No, 5-0. Never mind. I'll be over. Gotta count too many numbers
Sound
out.
like a sports announcer.
You retire from accounting and see what happens. Okay, next on the list is the public comment. And this is where we ask anyone that would like to speak to council, have a comment, to please step to the podium if you are able. And ask that you be recognized by the chairperson, be limited to 3 minutes with your comments. That's about it, I guess. So anyone like to speak with council tonight? Okay, seeing none,
I have no visitor presentation.
we will move on. Visitor presentation. Mark, you see?
No.
None? Okay. Now we're to the consent agenda, page 18.
I have a question on the activity monthly report for the police. What does it mean, property inspected, what does that mean? Constantine 255, Centerville 237.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dan is going to answer that typically, but it usually means shaking doors.
Okay.
Rattling the door to see if somebody.
Making sure the doors are locked down.
I was gonna say, if they had to go in 255 houses, they're busy.
Went back to the police vernacular, I'm sorry about this.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agendas as presented.
All seconds?
I'll second it.
Who made, who seconded?
Oh, you did it.
Okay, motion by trustee Lawrence, supported by trustee M.G. Mathers to accept the consent agenda as presented. Any comments? All in favor say yes.
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 Those opposed say no. That motion carries. Item number 8, unfinished business.
Primarily, the thing I wanted you to know is that the motor control centers that I've been laughingly referring to as control panel, that's way an understatement, did arrive. And I don't know if they're entirely installed yet or not, but I know that they were working on it as of last Tuesday. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I really expected literally to see one box. Yeah. There's a whole wall full of boxes that almost look like lockers actually, but in 2 different buildings there, so it was impressive. It supplied all the power to everywhere.
It overrides the overrides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So I was way undereducated on what it was that they got, but they got it. So, that means we're just one step closer to, to the construction being complete. There's still some ways to go, but I think very realistically, we can expect that the plant will be operational before the end of September, and it will be off, that we will be off Three Rivers by the end of September, so. Things could go wrong, of course, but, so.
Oh, yeah. Have we ever, we talked in the past about we were able to just leave the pipe there, is that still kind of the plan?
That's still the plan. I've heard nothing contrary from Eagle, so as far as I know, yes.
Anything scheduled for us to have a tour of it yet?
Funny you should ask. I did ask Joe about that, and he said, well, I can arrange one, but would you rather see it when there's water flow? And I said, yeah, I think that would probably be better. So he said, sometime in July. We don't have a date specific yet, but yes, you will get a chance to see it firsthand.
Have we started looking for somebody to run it?
That I don't know yet. We've got, I've contacted one person that I've asked if he's interested, and he said maybe, he's gotta do some checking. But yeah, I'm gonna ask Joe Benjamin to help me put together a, what am I looking for, a list of qualities.
Job
So,
description.
yeah.
We have to be licensed and a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
You have to be.
Okay, any more comments on wastewater? Page 23, Florence Road update.
This has been really difficult to get a schedule from the contractors because things do change from day to day. Today, for example, today we're lucky. We actually got a little bit lucky because there was a water line, not a sewer, a water line leaking near fiber converters. And so we had Roberts Brothers come in to fix that line, but they didn't have to cut up the road. So that, I mean, a nice coincidence that it happened when it did, so it was a little bit less expensive than it would otherwise have been. As far as I know, the line has been repaired, and I'm only surmising that because I haven't heard from Marcus anything to the contrary, so. But I think we're still looking at June 27th. From the way things are sounding, maybe a little bit before then, but I'll stick to that June 27 deadline for completion. And things are going smoothly. We had a bit of an issue at the start because the sign at either end of the construction said road closed detour, and that's all it said. There was nothing to indicate that the businesses could be accessed, and I got a serious earful from one of those businesses. And I contacted Reeve Riley, and with some input from Matt Johnson, they did get signs up there now that say the road is closed for all, or open to all businesses. Still says no through traffic, which to me is kind of funny because how do you know if somebody turns onto the road whether they're going through or stopping somewhere? But I don't think that it really makes a substantial difference, but.
Tell you what, they sure took that pavement off fast.
Yeah,
I was there
you do.
Saturday morning, about 8 o'clock at Fibers, and then I went back again, late afternoon, early evening maybe, to clean, and, it was all gone.
Really have the machines that do it. I went by there today, I turned one by, I call it Simplex. And it was funny because there was 2 trucks loaded and they were putting their tarps on right there. And I thought,
Yeah.
see, you could do it if you want to, you just don't want to.
And, well, the problem is, I think fiber has a different system. You actually have a schedule for people that are coming there, don't you? And that's, they have to try to adhere to that schedule.
For receiving, shipping is kind of, first come, first served. They're trying to get into the appointment time
Okay,
for that,
all right,
so.
so,
But they do have a big parking lot back there that they can park at.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
He had trucks lined up all the way around the curve. But there was two of them that were loaded, he was out there strapping them, tarping them right there. And I thought, oh, yeah.
I think the challenge for them would be right now, of course, they can still use Florence Road. The challenge would be if and when that road has to be closed even briefly, they're gonna have to figure out a way to turn around and go back west.
Right, they don't have much room in there, it should be our receiving area.
More comments on that? If not, we'll move on, starting on page 25, cash management policy, from the Gabriel, CPA firm.
I have to confess some ignorance. I have to do that a lot, but this cash management policy was raised at a meeting I missed. I was sick, so I missed the meeting where Gaybridge, through Jody, said that you really need a cash management policy. Joe Berlin did create a policy for your review, and hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at it. So, in short, I'm just asking you to approve that policy. Jody looked it over, right? You didn't have any issue with it?
No, I had a couple changes, cause they had you as a signer on the check, so I had that changed, and I remember what else I had changed. And really, we've always had a cash management policy, just not elaborate enough for the federal government. So Gaybridge was kind enough to develop one for us that would pass muster with the federal government.
That's pretty detailed.
It indeed is.
Yeah, they have a way of figuring out how to make problems when you don't need to make.
Yeah, that's the first policy I've ever seen that was that extensive. You know, it really had to go on and on and on.
On and on and on and on.
Ridiculous.
The only thing I didn't realize, or know what was that 2CFR / blah, 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 for all different departments, or,
Oh, what page you looking at?
oh, they're on all the pages. There must be like see on the first page on the 26 where it says purpose, this policy ensures compliance with 2CFR Part 200 uniform guidance.
Yeah, it's a federal guideline, I'm sure.
I'm sure, yeah. But I had all those different end numbers on there, and I'm sure that were just different categories.
Certainly not something I would have been able to come up with myself.
I hope you read it. I finished reading through it. I didn't see anything that caused me any heartburn. So.
Yeah, I read through it all, I didn't see anything either that was out of whack.
Isn't it just something to define how we do things, so if somebody challenges what we're doing, we say we go by this? They probably got, what, 300,000 people in the office just making these up as we go.
The federal government, well,
Yeah.
they've about down to half now, from what I understand, but
That's good.
Good. Now we need to go down more.
Sure.
So do we just need a approval of this, a motion?
Yeah, a motion to approve the federal work policy prepared by Gabriel, I guess.
The cash management policy?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the cash management policy.
Support.
Okay, motion by trustee Piper, supported by trustee King to support the cash management policy presented.
Will the date on page 33 remain the same as of February 27th, 2025? Does that matter?
yes, that matters.
So we should
It
change
needs,
that?
no, it needs to stay that way.
Oh, it does need to stay
Yeah.
there, okay.
And then if Melissa and Gary will sign it on that last page, then I can have it on file.
Okay, any
On
other
page
questions?
33.
for the motion? Okay, if not, Mark, would you call roll on that, please?
King,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Gary Mathers,
Yes.
Myra Mathers,
Yes.
Piper,
Yes.
Denman, and Spears.
Okay, motion carries 5-0. Page 34, we're talking about the fire station loan pre-application.
Yes,
SBA.
we submitted the application, the pre-application to rural development on Friday afternoon. We sent it over by email. And I thought we did a pretty good job with it. I'll be really candid with you, Jody did most of the work on this. As is usually the case with things financial, but we got a response from them today, asking a number of questions, some of which we didn't understand, so I sent a couple of questions to Roger Slutz about that. One was, why do you need a building authority? And Jody surmised, well, I'll let Jody.
According to rural development, we are below our borrowing limit, so they wondered why we had a building authority to borrow the money from rural development. Well, I don't know this for fact, but I think once we have all the money borrowed for the treatment plant, we will be so close to our borrowing limit that that's why we needed the building authority to borrow the money for the fire station, so that we still had some wiggle room for the governor, for the village. Now, Roger Swets is gonna confirm or deny that reason.
Isn't he the one that requested that we have a building
Yes,
authority?
so,
Yeah, there were actually 2 or 3 questions that I sent straight to Roger. He asked one question in return, but we have 15 days now to give them a response to those 7 questions. That should not be a problem, and we're not gonna wait till the last minute. Once we have the information from Roger, we'll put together a response for them. A couple of times, we actually think that they were maybe mistaking our application for somebody else's, because they asked some questions that we didn't think were.
well, they asked us about some numbers on the budget for the project that weren't even on the budget. So I'm thinking maybe they were looking at someone else's application.
And I don't know how many they received, I'm sure it's quite a few, so it's fairly easy to understand why there might be some misunderstanding.
I have a question from page 34 to 36. The interest rate on page 34, it says 4%, and on 36, it says 4.25%.
That changes quarterly, so that could change it. I'd like to think it's gonna come down, it probably won't, it doesn't even usually go up, it's more or less static. But, so yes, we're assuming a 4.25 interest rate, and we're assuming a 40-year loan. And those things, they may tell us, no, those things are not correct anymore. You can't have a 40-year loan, the interest rate might go up, might go down, we don't know. But at that rate and that length, I plan on just using fire assessment district money, and that should be okay. I'm looking at probably 2.5% for the fire SAD, but reducing the police department by 0.5%, so it'd still be the same total.
That was my question on page 38, because for 2020, 23, 24, 24, 25, you have 81,292, and then for 25, 26, and future, you have 121,000. Is that the increase of assessment?
That's at 2.5 mils.
That will be increased on the fire
It's
assessment?
at 2 mils now, we're gonna increase it to 2.5, but reduce the police by 0.5,
I see.
so that the total assessment on people doesn't change.
Doesn't, okay,
It's just what bucket it's going into.
okay.
Is that interest rate based on the Fed?
Yes,
So if it goes down, ours goes down, if it goes.
Exactly, and whatever it is, when it's approved, that's where it stays, it won't go up as other things do, so,
Everybody thinks it's gonna go down now.
yeah. It'd be nice if it went down. Also, it's not absolutely critical, but it would be nice if the loan worked for 40 years so that we can make extra payments.
Right.
There's no penalty for extra payments and no penalty for paying it off early. So in fact, they said, we'd appreciate it if you do pay it off early.
Any more comments or questions on that item? There's no motion to be made on that, I don't believe.
Nope. We will keep you apprised when we deliver that report with the information that they ask for. And that should be by the next meeting.
Yep. I see no more business on our
Can I
agenda.
ask a question, going back to the payments of the bills?
Yeah.
On MMPA, where it says the lab fees, there's $9,100, I think, in lab fees this month. You said the businesses are billed for those lab fees, correct?
That is correct.
So I was talking to Lori at Fiber, she was asking me about the sewer bill, how I always looked at it and did it, and, she says, all she sees is water, and I says, well, isn't there lab fees at a separate column, and she said, no. So is lab fees not in a different column as the water sewer?
Don't quote me, because I don't do the billing, but I'm pretty sure that the only ones that are charged lab fees separately are Ox and MMPA.
Because of the contaminants in their water.
Right.
Because they're the
Okay.
major users, so.
And there are a lot of contaminants in their water too.
So the other lab fees that we have,
A lot more than fibers.
And the village as a whole,
so we have 1, 2, 3, at $40. So it would be Ox and MMPA.
Yes, for Ox, or yes, for MMPA, and I really can't tell you for sure about Ox, but I think Jody's right, so,
They put lots of chemicals in their water,
yeah.
that paper knows. Lots of chemicals. They have to. Cause they use river water and they have to kill all
because
the,
they test, I believe, every day, so
Bacteria.
that would, if it's 31 or 30 days, times 2 would be 63 tests for
Oh.
the two industries.
they have to keep all the contaminants out of the river water that they use.
So for the suspended solids, there's 2, your bill 63, 63, and 63, and then the pH is 66.
And I can't answer the question as to why that is so.
It's probably just broke down by the different tests they run.
I'm just curious how they get that figure, because it changes, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, so I.
It might be based on the amount of water they use, because if they're shut down, they don't use nearly as much water in their production.
All right. I'm done.
There is no items under new business. That's it. I guess we will adjourn our meeting at 7:30 PM.
Nice.
Thanks, everyone.